Today's match is brought to you by AE Engine, AmericanEagle.com, Bag Tags, Bubba Burger, Cliff Kids, Dick's Sporting Goods, Expand a Brand, Nesquik, Fusionetics, MLS, Nike Soccer, Positive Coaching Alliance, Premier International Tours, Soccer Shots, Sun-Made Raisins, Target, Turbo Sports Group, United Soccer Coaches, Wilson Trophy Company, and Yokohama.
It was 1935, the year that Elvis and Sandy Koufax were born. It was a year of many firsts, including the first NFL draft, the first Monopoly board game went on sale, Social Security began, and Babe Ruth hit his last home run. In addition to these milestones, the National Junior Challenge Cup was founded in 1935, offering a youth competition for young men in the United States. The cup was later named the James P. McGuire Cup, after the late U.S. soccer president, who himself was quite a standout in his earlier days, winning the U.S. Open Cup in 1929. McGuire would lead U.S. soccer and earn an international reputation as an excellent leader.
The Jim McGuire Cup was started in 1935. It was the only cup that the United States Soccer Federation had for youth players. And it was a very good competition, and I can tell you, I mean, this was the highlight of my soccer career, to be a champion in 1954.
This storied cup, now the oldest trophy in youth sport.
It has a history, it has a meaning, I think it has tradition. So I think it's extremely important for our competitions, for all the age groups that kind of emulate the McGuire Cup.
Winning the McGuire Cup is huge, just because all that history that comes along with the oldest trophy in youth sports period. That's really big for us.
Who will write their name in the next chapter of the storied McGuire Cup?
forget last year. It's gone. Ancient history. It's time to forget about failure and how you came up short, how you missed the mark. Yeah, it's time to forget about the man you should have marked, the run you should have made. Remember that shot you should have taken? Time to let it all go. Forget about it. It's time to go to work. It's time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frisco, Texas, side of the 2018 U.S. Youth Soccer National Championships. I'm Todd Panula, part of Tuber Sports Group, and I'm here to bring you all of this morning's exciting 18 and under girls Group B action between Scottsdale Blackhawks and the CDA Slammers. Scottsdale Blackhawks hail from Scottsdale, Arizona, and are coached by Paul Taylor, countered by the CDA Slammers, hailing from Huntington, California. The whistle goes, the kick has been taken, and we are underway here in the first half. Group B action between these two teams as they are both looking to find their first victory within this tournament. Both teams ended up losing yesterday. Scottsdale fell 2-1 to Compton United in their first game of the tournament, countered by a 1-0 loss by the Slammers to the Sunrise Sting. So in the white kits, it's going to be Scottsdale as they control the ball right now, countered by the dark jerseys of the Slammers. Scottsdale heading right to left on your screen, and we hope you enjoy the rest of this contest. So settle in, as we should have a pretty good one for you here with these 18 and under girls. Up the right-hand side, pushing up onto the attack, is Furtman. Looking to send one in towards the box, and a bit too much underneath that one as that escapes the grasp of the field. And we'll have our first goal kick of the game. Your goalkeepers for the day, for the Slammers, it's going to be Macy Boyle, countered by Jasmine Brass for Scottsdale. On into the control of Wade for the Slammers as they try to escape their defensive end. Instead, it's Scottsdale going right back in. Pushing it up the right-hand side. A decent cross hits off the defender, and we'll have ourselves a corner. Another ball is claimed over by the lake area. That seems to be the theme of the day here, as they have sent a lot of balls out of play within these first two games, and now this the third of the day. 11 o'clock kickoff time here in Texas. A little bit earlier for those of you watching out in Scottsdale, California, or any place else out west. Pushed over towards the middle of the field by Winter Galen. And a touch, trying to settle it down is Winter Galen. Spun around by the defender. Figueroa is right on the backside. Put it into a good spot. Getting to it was Hubbard. She couldn't quite steer that one on. It just wasn't flowing with enough pace to get across her body so she could steer that one on goal. So with both of these teams not picking up points on day one, getting a victory here today is paramount. Obviously, if you can get a draw, you'll take it, as that still keeps you somewhat alive on the second day, given the unknown of what is going on one of the other fields. But still, it's a situation where when you have 0 points, you need to really get up to that 3 to put yourself in a really good position to try to advance on that final day. Because if you lose here today, mathematically, it's never impossible to pull something off on that last day if you get the right results on other games, but it's increasingly difficult. Scottsdale doing a good job here of creating some chances. That one goes too tall for Hannah Hale. She tries to run it down, but the Slammers are going to be able to get to it first, and they send it out for a Blackhawks throw. Scottsdale with control as they work good possession. Hale saw it slip away, and it's cleared. Shao puts it up towards the edge of the 18. Wanted the left-footed shot, and getting it was Hubbard. But she had been pushed off to the angle just enough to where that one was always going to be difficult to put on target. See here, that last touch there, that's probably what pushed her too far wide. She would have really had to get the hips back through that ball to put that one on goal. But nevertheless, Scottsdale doing a really good job of controlling these first few moments of the game. 5th minute of play. We will play 45-minute halves, so a total of 90 within the game. Once again out here to the near side for Hale. She's bothered by the defender, doing a good job there to disrupt things. Goggins was able to make the steal, and now it's Slater pushing it up the wing. Looking up the sideline for Sanchez. Getting to it first instead is Wheaton. She plays it back to Brass, and they'll push the reset button. Wheaton all the way across the 18-yard box. Winter Galen was trying to hold it up, but the ball just kept biting on the grass every time it would touch. Didn't have enough pace to continue on. Now picking up some pace is Zoll. She's got the speed and then lays it off here to the near sideline. Hale takes on the defender but plays it right into a leg. Steele keeps possession and then laid back for Shao. Over to the far sideline. Pushed along. Osland couldn't keep it going. Now onto the foot of Hubbard. Hubbard gets it back, puts it back onto that left foot, thinking about a shot, gonna take it. It took a touch on the way through, they score! The deflection works out in the favor of Scottsdale as they score with the goal for Emily Shao. So the goal comes in the 7th minute as Hubbard had done her job to get that into a shooting position. You see it coming in there, and then it took a touch off of one of the defenders, and then Shao was able to pounce on the loose ball, and absolutely no chance for Boyle to pick that one up as she was reacting to that initial shot. Whistle goes against the Slammers. It was actually a foul. So that's why the players had to hit the brakes and then go back the other way. So a 7th-minute goal for the Blackhawks as Scottsdale takes the early lead. A lot of time in this one, though, as we've seen throughout this tournament, regardless of age groups. Sometimes those early goals hold up, and sometimes they evaporate rather quickly. Scottsdale has done a really good job of pushing their energy out here in the early stages, and that's something that, as a fan of the game, you like to see, and it's not always practical from a player's standpoint, simply because the wind is picking up a little bit here, cutting down the heat just a tiny bit, but it's been much warmer in today's games than it was yesterday, even though we were in the high 90s throughout the game times. As the official continuing to have some words with the players out on the field. Seems to be a knee brace problem. As the corner kick is held up. So Figueroa gets her equipment in order, and we'll get things started again. A solid corner kick, a little too much air underneath it. Difficult to generate power under that, as you have to settle under the ball and then whip your head into it, as opposed to letting the ball do the work. But a good chance, nevertheless, for Emily Hartson. But the ball ended up sailing wide in the end. A miscue along the backside for Zoll will give an opportunity now for Sanchez as she brings it up the right wing. Centered across the top of the box, but that was too far behind her fellow striker partner. Sanchez with another opportunity. This time Zoll steps in front. The double team as Shao is able to take it away. Coming up with purpose now is Hale. Avoids the step-in challenge. Brought out of the air by Willoughby. She's off to the races on the right. Willoughby looking for Winter Galen. Holds on to it instead, taking it all the way towards the end line. And once she got about 10 yards out, cut it back into a dangerous area. Hubbard sees it come down. Goalkeeper out, and it's in between the legs. And Boyle able to hold on. Those are always uncomfortable moments for a goalkeeper. Obviously, the physical discomfort of the ball being in between your legs, but also just the mental discomfort of not having it in your hands in a solid possession to where somebody could still knock it loose. Willoughby intended that pass for Hale. It was intercepted on the way through. Zale in a foot rest with Sanchez, and Zoll will win it. All the way back for Brass. A good flow to this game. Good change of pace from some of our early morning games, which was somewhat the opposite of what we saw in this field yesterday, in which the early games had the good pace, the good flow, and then the heat of the day took it out of some of the afternoon games. But these girls came ready to play, good fitness, and they have put a lot of good energy here. And we're just now in the 12th minute. An early substitute coming in for the Slammers. Checking into the game is going to be Kylena Wilson. She will replace Carly Slater. So Coach Melendez looking for a change of pace. Zoll had a player right on her. Seemed to be favoring her ankle after that. Takes a touch off the defender, so that'll be an easy claim for Boyle. Goggins was calling for it. Instead, they go towards the top of the box. Almost a miscue there between defender and goalkeeper, but the Slammers get away with it. Up towards the midfield and intercepted by Scottsdale. Sanchez has it on the near side as it rolls off her midsection. The step over keeps possession, and then she slices through the defenders with the pass. Up towards the forward line, but nothing really doing after that. Settled down in the end by Hartson. She pumps the brakes and then looks to go over towards the far side as the pressure was being put on by McCullum. Dangerously towards the 6-yard box. Furtman couldn't quite bring it down. Counter could be on. Offside was the call well before the whistle was blown. This one pounded up the near side, but it goes into touch. And now as we get a bit of a lull, we see the temperatures starting to affect some of the players. There's another early substitution for the Slammers. Coming in is Lauren Jewett. And she replaces Harley Wade. Taken back by Figueroa. And now Sanchez. Sanchez forced back. Hale right in her back pocket. That one goes into touch, but it'll stay with the Slammers. Moore has it taken away. Willoughby takes a spill. Hale brings it back. Shao, the goal scorer. Hartson sends the long ball. I think she intended that one to go a bit more towards the wing than it did. Jewett settles it down now for the Slammers in the midfield as they try to push up onto the attack. Flicked on by McCullum. Here's Wilson. Corner kick. First of the game for the Slammers. So a chance to get something going here on this set piece as they find themselves down by a goal. A little over a quarter hour into this half. It'll be a right-footed swinging kick in towards goal. Good air underneath this one towards the back post. Goalkeeper took a spill, but she hung on to it. Solid hands there from Brass. She saw that one all the way. Hudson takes the short distribution. Nifty little touch for Furtman. On back. Winter Galen in the box all alone, and the save made for Good effort there for Willie Galen to get it all the way up, but then the shot wasn't necessarily where she wanted it. It was a tough angle. Boyle did a good job of coming out a couple steps to cut off the angle and keep it very thin, so the margin for error was not that much. As we see Winter Galen pushing it up into the 18, but that touch that forced a couple extra steps just put her off the angle, and Boyle made a comfortable save despite having to get dirty. Jewett trying to keep possession, and then her clearance went right into a defender. Onto the attack now, pushing it into the boxes. Hubbard, defender played it off of Hubbard, and it'll be a goal kick. Hubbard a little bit shaken up. Some of the coaching staff for Scottsdale thought there was a little bit too much in that challenge. The official in good position. And I think right there, that last hip in there from the defender, but Hubbard was really off balance already. So very rarely are you going to see that called a penalty kick. Obviously, Scottsdale fans will disagree, but a moot point now as we're back underway. Chested down by Schau. She brings it up the left wing, cuts it in towards the center. Some space in front, quickly closed down there as Lauder was able to close it off. Good slotted ball through onto the foot of Hale. Hannah Hale having to switch the point of attack as her left wing was occupied by defenders. Here's Hubbard. Back for Hale. On her left foot now for Schau. Wanting to put it back on the right. And the Slammers just kind of cleared away, trying to reset their defensive shape. Into the corner, but nobody there for Furtman. And she shows a little bit of frustration from herself on that. Still about 3 or 4 minutes away from the water break that will come about halfway through the first half. So Cervantes was going to check into the game in just a moment for the Slammers. Almost forgetting the ball there. Once again, good effort from Hale to chase that one down. So Cervantes in and Hornback out. Furtman dropped it back. Schau expected the return pass. Instead, it's with McCollum. Jewett. Back towards the top of the box. Weak shot came in. But sometimes you need that first one to break your way. The energy being sapped out by the sun. So the pace of this game is slackened just a little bit. You can't fault anybody for that, because it's definitely been a hot one here today. And I think the big difference is not necessarily in the temperature, because actual temperature, when you only go up a couple degrees here or there, it's not going to make a gigantic difference. As checking into the game is Keely Bond for Scottsdale. But when you have that humidity in the air and no wind to cut through it, that's really made the difference here today. Even just sitting here on the sideline, can't imagine how much of a difference it makes for the players. There's no respite from the heat right now, no wind at all. If there has been, it's been just a gentle little breeze every now and then, but the corner flags are basically resting along their posts. Cervantes hands it off. Pushed up for Sanchez, and now Figueroa. Figueroa started off in more of a center role, now been pushed over to a wing back with a couple of the subs that were made. The pass from Bond goes a little too far, it's behind, and then a shot came in from Wittergalen. And another good chance for Scottsdale. They're building, getting a little bit closer each time, forcing some saves from Boyle, but not too much to speak of it after that. A foul goes against Willoughby, or at least against Scottsdale one way or the other. Willoughby showing the most displeasure with it. But now coming up. Good service into the box for Sanchez. Settled down over on the far side for Wilson. He's surrounded by two players, and the defenders win that battle. A little too far behind Bond there. Had to check up to get it. Pass to the right side was too far behind Wintergalen as well. So now with the stoppage, with the throw-in upcoming over on the far side, the game will take a stoppage as well, as they needed a water break. Well deserved for both of these teams, as it's been a solid first 23 minutes or so of play. Only one goal up on the board. That came in the 7th minute. Emily Shaw able to tuck home the rebound after the initial shot had been taken by Lindsay Hubbard. It was blocked by one of the defenders, sticking out a random leg. Getting a good piece of it, but the goalkeeper went down thinking she was going to make the save, and instead it settled right down for Emily Shaw, and she was able to just punch it home. We've got Group B action here in this game. If you're just a fan of soccer, stay tuned for our 1 p.m. matchup, as it will be the same age bracket for Group A, and see some potential opponents for these two teams should they advance. Once again, if you're the Slammers, I think you want to get something out of this game, but the focus, if nothing else, needs to be on just creating some chances, because those have been few and far between, hard to come by within this tournament. They failed to score a goal in their opening game. They trail 1-0 here in their second game. And as I mentioned, mathematically, you're not always eliminated if you lose on the first 2 days, but it becomes increasingly difficult. You have to win on day 3 and then have several results fall your way. So the teams have retaken the field, and we'll get underway. Once again, it's going to be restarted with a throw-in for Scottsdale. Tussle on the far sideline, goes into touch. It'll stay in possession of Scottsdale as they're about to make a substitution. Coming into the game is going to be Madison Nash. So Nash is in, and Tate Zoll is out. Shao, a little bit heavy on that first touch. Cleared away. The whistle goes as there was a handball there. Header won by Wheaton, outdueling McCullum. Hale, just a bit too strong there for Nash. Shao wins the header. Pump back the other direction by Goggins. McCullum puts it up the line. This is dangerous now as Sanchez pushes it into the box, takes a bit of a bump, still trying to get possession back. And a bit too much in that one according to the officials, so Sanchez called for the foul. Back in the hands of Brass. Wheaton. Furtman giving up. Moore intended that one for Sanchez, but Sanchez hadn't started her run early enough. That one went out just over the line. So it'll be a throw in as the Slammers pushing further and further up the field. Goggins gets it in for Moore, but that was stepped into by Furtman. The little feint allows Winter Greenland to have some space out in front. She turns on the Jets. Nobody near her now. She's going to put it towards goal, and stepping out in front was Cervantes to give up the corner, but at least no more than that. Corner kick coming up. 31st minute of play. This one gets caught up in a little bit of a gust of wind, a rarity here today. And it goes out for the goal kick. Right up the middle. Moore had to scramble to pick it up. Jewett cut off by Bond. She heads back the other way. Jewett trying to return the favor. A little too much in that. Substitute coming in now for Scottsdale. Looks like Hannah Osland will come in for Emily Shao. Towards the edge of the box. Flicked on by the defender. Back up into the air. It's loose. And the save was made by Boyle. Second opportunity goes just awry, but off the defender, so we'll have a corner kick. So a bit of a scramble there. The Blackhawks unable to come up with too much off of it, but they're threatening again. If you're the Slammers, you have to find a way to keep this out because they've managed to build up some good attack here in the last few moments. As you see the initial shot that was blocked. Corner kick is taken out towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Getting a head onto it was Wheaton, but it didn't go the direction that she wanted. Left foot, too much curl on that one. Then an awkward collision between Wheaton and Moore. Brass comes well out of her goal to pick up this one. Extra ball on the field. That belongs to field 6. Decent service towards the box, but just a little too much on it. Moore didn't have a chance to run onto that one. Shane Gilbert will come in. 50-50 ball. Nobody really coming away with that. Interesting decision as to who it belongs to. It'll go to the Slammers. So Gilbert and Hallworth come in for the Slammers. Also in for Scottsdale. There's Sky McMillan. Able to escape the pressure. McMillan brings it up the right-hand side now as there's Green in front. Pushes it out so she can run onto it. All the way into the 18-yard box. Finally closed down at the last moment. McMillan a second opportunity, and this one's sent back over towards the sideline. McMillan waves at it but doesn't come down. Here's Jewett. Slammers looking a bit anxious in the midfield. They'll win themselves a throw, but deep inside their own end. Close to a handball there. It was hidden from the official, though. That ball stuck right in there. It'll stay with the Slammers on the throw. Moore filters it on through, and now a little bit of space for Cervantes. She'll send it over to the far-hand side, but that looks like there's going to be too much onto it, and Figueroa can't make the run. And I think if anything's going to be brought up at halftime, it's just that the Slammers have really kind of put themselves in bad positions with some of their decision-making. It hasn't necessarily been that they've played so much worse than their opponent, but it's just those final passes aren't necessarily good thoughts. You understand the thought process behind what they were trying to do, but the execution hasn't necessarily been there in many situations. But plenty of opportunities for the team from Huntington to come back into this one. Their counterpart out of Scottsdale leads 1-0 on a 7th-minute goal. Pressure being put on the back of Bond. She passes around it. McMillan from the far side, still in the middle of the field overall, but pushing towards that right third. McMillan allowing the pressure to come, and now she passes off to the right-hand side to Osland. She puts a cross in. Defenders deal with it as it inches ever closer to the end line. Osland back into the mixer. Too tall there for Johnston. This one will trickle all the way to the near hand side, and a bit of space now, which has been rare for the Slammers. And unfortunately, they pass right back into pressure. This one's kind of an aimless ball through the midfield, taken right back. Osland looking for options now at the edge of the 18. Johnston, one touch too many. The ball just wouldn't settle down. Not sure if it hit a divot or what, but she couldn't get that settled into a good shooting spot. As Johnston really needed to put that one in towards goal. Goalkeeper setting up her post as Boyle calling out orders, telling everybody where they need to be, trying to defend this corner kick. It's been a couple scary moments for the Slammers coming off set pieces just like this. Scottsdale has done a good job with each loose ball. They get the head down. It spills loose about 10 yards out, but nothing doing after that. Wilson looking to counter. Sanchez has some green out in front. Defenders coming back. Sanchez lays it back. Hallworth looking back for Sanchez. She's in behind the defender, but the ball just slowed up a little too much. Moore, little touch pass, gets it back from Jewett, but stepping in with the foot is Johnston. Bond. Now with some space, Bond pushing through the defenders. And again, just slowed up a bit too much. Traded back and forth in the midfield. Coming away with it now is McMillan, pushing up the right once again, as she is wont to do, trying to get past the defender and Figueroa. She got the ball with the sliding challenge, but didn't win it. Jewett trying to go back the other direction. Slowed up a little bit as Gilbert couldn't quite hold on. Sanchez chasing it down, but not before Brass could clear it away. 40th minute, so a little over 5 minutes left in this one. And a half, I should say. This one's into touch. Sub coming up. So Tavernetti Carroll will come into the game. Looks like she's going to take up a defensive spot, at least initially. Tavernetti Carroll replaces Figueroa. She was struggling just a little bit as she came off. Hopefully she'll be able to come back strong in the second half. This one goes into touch again. Scottsdale retains possession. Jewett won the ball, but couldn't keep possession as there were too many Scottsdale players right around her. Hit a touch on the far sideline. The Slammers will get it back. Up the pitch. Intercepted. Almost a collision there, but winning the ball was Hartson. She'll take a few strides herself. Slows it up now. Off for Furtman. She puts a left foot, trying to get it over to Bond inside the semicircle. Taking a knock from behind was Johnston. She races back to pick it up. Just slipping underneath the foot of Hale. Johnston brings it down, intended to give it back for Hale. Instead, it goes on for Tabernetti Keller. Jewett. Gilbert. Working up the left-hand side. I think she wanted to get that one to Sanchez, but it was a bit ambitious. The official decides that the free kick was better than any play that could have come from the Slammers being in possession. Blasted back the other way. Taverton and Carroll puts a forearm in the back of Furtman to gain possession for her team. More on it now. Laces one towards goal, but it falls harmlessly to Brass. Won by Johnston as she shrugs off the pressure. Laced up the sideline, intending that one for Nash. Didn't quite get there. Willoughby takes a spill, and she'll gain the free kick. Lobbed in by Wheaton. Too many defending players in front. Spin chance there from Osland. Didn't get a foot through it. Johnston with pressure coming from behind. Wheaton. Again, a defender right on the back. Hallworth up top. Back in possession of the Scottsdale, I should say. Coming in through the midfield. Touched in towards the box. Johnston trying to run onto it. Needs to one-time this one. It does so. That is cleared away. Osland lays it back out for McMillan. Defender right in there. Some jostling going on in the box. Finally, it's cleared away. Into the hands of the keeper. One 0 your score in favor of Scottsdale on a 7th-minute goal. Seeking their first win of the tournament after a 2-1 loss to Hampton United. Back into play after they retrieve the ball from across the way. And a quick whistle will give a free kick to the Slammers. Knocked away from Hallworth. Scottsdale able to clear, only for the moment. Back in possession, looking for Gilbert. She tries a clearance to get it into the center. Wheaton with the clearance, but not before the whistle was blown for a foul. Second minute of stoppage time. It's never a good indication by the fourth official as to how much we were going to have. Perhaps they let the coaches know, but normally we can pick up on it. And there it is. As soon as you talk about it, they blow the whistle. 45 minutes in the books. A 7th-minute goal for Emily Shao. The difference in this one after the first half. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have the second half of action. More with Turbo Sports production of the 2018 U.S. Youth Soccer National Championships after this. Today's match is brought to you by AE Engine, AmericanEagle.com, Bag Tags, Bubba Burger, Cliff Kids, Dick's Sporting Goods, Expand a Brand, Nesquik, Fusionetics, MLS, Nike Soccer, Positive Coaching Alliance, Premier International Tours, Soccer Shots, Sun-Made Raisins, Target, Turbo Sports Group, United Soccer Coaches, Wilson Trophy Company, and Yokohama.
It was 1935, the year that Elvis and Sandy Koufax were born. It was a year of many firsts, including the first NFL draft, the first Monopoly board game went on sale, Social Security began, and Babe Ruth hit his last home run. In addition to these milestones, the National Junior Challenge Cup was founded in 1935, offering a youth competition for young men in the United States. The cup was later named the James P. McGuire Cup, after the late U.S. soccer president, who himself was quite a standout in his earlier days, winning the U.S. Open Cup in 1929. McGuire would lead U.S. soccer and earn an international reputation as an excellent leader.
The Jim McGuire Cup was started in 1935. It was the only cup that the United States Soccer Federation had for youth players. And it was a very good competition, and I can tell you, I mean, this was the highlight of my soccer career to be a champion in 1954.
This storied cup, now the oldest trophy in youth sport.
It has a history, it has a meaning, I think it has tradition. So I think it's extremely important for our competitions, for all the age groups that kind of emulate the McGuire Cup.
Winning the McGuire Cup is huge, just because all that history that comes along with the oldest trophy in youth sports period, that's really big for us.
Who will write their name in the next chapter of the storied McGuire Cup?
Forget last year. It's gone. Ancient history. It's time to forget about failure and how you came up short, how you missed the mark. Yeah, it's time to forget about the man you should have marked, the run you should have made. Remember that shot you should have taken? Time to let it all go. Forget about it. It's time to go to work.
Welcome back to Frisco, Texas. We're underway here in the second half between Scottsdale and the CDA Slammers. Scottsdale leads by a score of 1-0 with a 7th-minute goal by Emily Shao. I want to apologize for any mix-up for the Slammers fans. Do our best to try to get updated rosters as much as possible during the course of these tournaments, but sometimes what information is listed on the website isn't always the latest and up-to-date. So we've got everything straight now, though. It was actually Abby McCullum who went out with that injury in the first half. So she was the player suffering just a little bit. Already picked up a knock earlier in the half and was wearing a reasonably heavy knee brace to start the match as well. So do not see her out on the field to start the second half. So we'll have to wait and see if she manages to make a return later on. But we overheard Coach Melendez just before the half started. He wants his team to really come out hard and put a lot of energy here into the first 20 minutes or so of this half and try to get that equalizer within that framework so that they can spend the rest of the half looking for that game-winning goal as opposed to seeking out the equalizer for the entirety of the half, which really takes a lot of energy out of you, whereas you give yourself a lot more options if you can get that one early and then at least give yourself a chance to seek out a winner should you choose to do so. Come over here to the near side, though, for Scottsdale, and Bernal puts it back into a dangerous spot. Johnston coming back up as she doesn't usually take place in the box for those corner kicks. Willoughby couldn't quite get it to settle down. Johnston puts one towards goal. It was headed towards the post, but instead met with the gloves of Boyle. She'll distribute it out to her defender. Cervantes up the near side, puts it on for Gilbert. She was dispossessed, and back the other way we go. Hubbard into the box towards the edge of the 18. Hubbard looking to put a shot in on it. She was shaken up as she headed to ground, back up, trying to get loose to that ball. And instead it comes out towards the midfield circle. Brought down by Wheaton. She brings it back under possession, and then it was stolen away as Sanchez, who remains in the game, sends it up towards the forward line where she was looking for Slater, and she was turned around. Nash. Johnston making the run. Nash still in possession. Now finds Johnston with a good through ball. Space in front. Defender trying to get in good position. Johnston going to go with a little scoop shot, and that ends up comfortably wide. Brought down by Willoughby. Back in control with Osland. Trying to slide one through for Johnston. Stepping in front and winning it for the Slammers. Struggling to bring that one down. Shao would have had an opportunity if the defenders kind of converged at the last moment. Racing to pick this one up is McMillan. So it seems like for the most part, obviously not true in every situation, but both teams seem to have kind of stayed with their lineups that they finished the first half with. So giving their substitutes some extra time after they get a breather, and they give the starters some extra time to really make that final push as well. Shao had it come off of her a little bit awkwardly, but she's able to get the cross in. Dangerously towards the back post, but nobody quite there. And it'll go out for a goal kick. Welby wins the goal kick. Near side for Johnston. That's McMillan on the ball. And she is crunched to the ground. Legal shoulder challenge, says the official. That one looked a little more egregious, but the official keeps her whistle by her side again. Down for Hartson. Evades Slater. And that's Carly Slater. Now Shao putting it on the right foot. This time they're not going to avoid the foul, so that's going to be a dangerous free kick. Coming from about 21, 22 yards out. It's right about the perfect distance that you want it. Gives you enough time to get it up in the air, over the wall, and then back down. Shao looking like she wants to take the free kick. She's already got the goal to her name. Five-person wall. Shao sizes it up. Decides whether she wants to go towards goal or set something up. She goes for the shot. Wall broke loose, and it went off the post. Shao just barely snuck it in between, and it almost ended up in the back of the net. They get it all the way up towards midfield. So we take one more look at this. Shao with a good strike here, and the wall just kind of split apart there. If you're going to turn your body, you need to kind of do so in unison. And you had one player turn to the right, one to the left, and that gave enough of a space for that one to almost sneak in. Sun climbing ever higher in the sky. The wind has picked up just a little bit. Not really enough to affect the play, but at least enough to kind of cut through the heat a tiny bit. Although if you're in the sun, there's really not too much that you can do. These water breaks ever more necessary. Both the players and broadcast crew and all the volunteers, we had a little bit easy yesterday. It was still a hot one, high 90s. It did end up touching 100 after all the tournament games were done, but it's definitely much hotter here today, and the conditions have been less conducive. But nevertheless, we've had a really good game here, solid energy put out by both teams. It's going to be interesting to see how much they have left for day 3. Because that's the only dangerous thing you have in these kind of tournament settings, is when you have to play back to back to back. Despite the differences that they try to give you in the time slots, as Hubbard gets ordered towards the top of the 18 and her shot was blocked. But to the point, when you have these games with no days in between, it's understandable you only have so much time slot allotted to you, but you cannot really recover fully. So by the time things are most on the line, sometimes you have the least amount of energy in reserve, and it can sometimes cost these teams, and your fitness is really tested. Jewett tries to lob one up towards Slater, but that was too high for Lily Slater. And now it's McMillan for the Blackhawks as they bring it up the right-hand side. Scottsdale pushes it along. Crossed in and ultimately out by McMillan. So McMillan, one of the first half substitutes. She's put in a lot of effort. She put in some good sprints along the wing. You'd have to figure that she will probably be one of those players that I was kind of mentioning for either team that the coaches probably told him, you play about halfway through the first half and then we're going to sub you out. So just don't worry about leaving anything in reserve. Just get it all out. A sliding challenge from Johnston. She felt she was kind of taken to ground. No call coming from the official, though. And this one goes out for the goal kick. Jasmine Brass hasn't been tested too often here today. Haven't needed to mention her name that often, other than the occasional kickback to her. But sometimes those are the most difficult games to play in if you're a goalkeeper. If you're not being tested throughout the game and then all of a sudden you're called under fire. McMillan able to win it twice, but not coming away with possession either time, and it ends up going into touch along the near sideline for a deep throw for the Slammers. Once again, want to thank all of our presenting sponsors for bringing you today's match. Brought to you live on Turbo Sports Group. Jewett struggled to get the handle on that one, managed to keep it in, but given away possession. Up through the midfield for Shao. She was quickly sealed off. Moore gave it away. Now Shao keeps in possession. Decent cross, gets all the way through. They score! Lindsay Hubbard able to repay the favor as she was set up by Emily Shao, and she doubles up the lead. So you see here the cross coming in from Shao. Hubbard just one touch onto it, just needed to flick it on, change the path just a little bit. Not too much Boyle could do about that one. We get a better angle here, and that's one thing I like to see. Credit to the defenders for the Slammers. I mean, it's a minor thing, but it's one of my pet peeves in the game today that defenders, when the ball gets in behind them, they automatically put their hand up in the air, assuming everything is offside that could have been behind them. The Slammers didn't do so. They did get caught unaware, you have to say that much, but still good play from them to not appeal to the referee in the off chance that there might have been an offside. The officials do a good job of keeping their eye on such things, and Hubbard just timed her run very well, and the ball ended up in behind the defense. Not too much you could do about that, and a good tuck in there from Hubbard, as I mentioned, repaying the favor as she was set up by Emily Shao. So a reversal of how the first goal was scored, but nevertheless a second one up on the board. Into the danger area, punched away by Boyle as she gets two strong fists to it. Taking a slide there was Slater after she was bumped off the ball. They want to restart it quickly, try to catch the defense napping, but numbers get back in white. That will negate any kind of attack for Sanchez on the far side. So that's going to change up the game plans for Coach Melendez and the Slammers. Instead of finding the equalizer, they now have to score twice to get back in. A collision in the midfield gives a free kick. Once again, they started quickly. Here comes Scottsdale. They play it in. Hubbard couldn't quite get there after the defender didn't get a good clearance on the initial chance. Too hot to handle there, and now Oslin brings it down. McMillan laid it back. potential counterattack opportunity, and the ball just would not check up, ends up rolling into touch. Into touch again. So players getting ready to warm up for CDA Slammers. So they will be making some substitutions shortly. One also about to come in for Scottsdale momentarily. Cutting in towards goal, though, is Hubbard. Looking for the brace now. On the left foot, cuts it back across the grain. And it just grazed off of that tire that sits on side of the goal. So it was not very far wide. Inches at best. Coming into the game now is Sarah Wintergalen. So she'll return, and she will replace Sky McMillan. So McMillan did a good job in her time on the field, put in a lot of good effort, made some good runs up the sidelines and the wings. Won't get her name on the score sheet other than the fact that she did have some minutes played, but it doesn't always boil down to that. Sometimes it's all about the effort that you put in. Wintergalen wrestling for it along the near side, keeping it up along the corner, not necessarily trying to kill off clock, but doing so in the process. Willoughby lost control of it. Jewett able to send it up, but it ended up hitting her own teammate. And I believe they're going to call a handball on Hornback. So another free kick opportunity here for Emily Schau. She's got herself a goal and an assist today. Also over there, potentially taking this free kick is Bernal. And now she heads over towards the middle of the pitch. Schau will take it, but it never came back down. So a mass substitute coming up for the Slammers. They're going to go for the line change, a complete 5 new players on the field. Coming in is Hallworth, Wilson. Maya Alicorn will get her first action in this one. Also back into the game is Abby McCullum, so good to see her return. And Harley Wade makes her return as well. '64th minute of play, 2-0 your score. Schau and Hubbard the goal scorers, and they've also set up each other's goals as well. Coming back to pick that one up is Hale. She'll send it all the way back. Brass with pressure coming. Could create a chance here. Alarcorn. Can't get it to settle down. A wild stab at it. Brings it over here to the near side. Slater has it stabbed away. Goes towards the end line. Tries to ride it out, and it'll be a corner kick. Taking their time to set this one up. Slammers trying to make something off of this one. They went near post. Trying to sneak that one in with just a little bit of a flick, but it didn't get quite enough air underneath it. Flicked on by Schau, instead taken by the defender. Brought down by Alarcorn. She takes a couple legs into the midsection. Quick restart, though. Looking up the near sideline. Held in as they charge towards the end line. Slater trying to put it back across. And Brass coming out to make the grab as it just went over the top of the attacker. Scottsdale trying to clear it out. Wade trying to keep it in. Bodies fall in left and right. Wade pushes it towards the left. Taken down, and there'll be a foul again. Some of the calls gaining more and more displeasure from the offended team. But the official has been very confident in every whistle that she's blown. So a really good scoring opportunity now. Slammers, if they want to get back into this one, they have got to do something right here. Sierra Moore setting up for the free kick. Only a three-person wall. Brass still trying to set it up. Goes to that back post. We'll see if Moore tries to curl it around. She's going to go short with it. Now a direct line of sight for Hallworth. That one doesn't get through. Still stabbing at it, poking at it. Comes over here to the near side. Alarcorn takes it towards the end line. Left-footed cross goes off the defender, stays in. Defenders still haven't cleared it out. Back into the mixer. Slater keeps it alive and finally sent away. So Coach Taylor for Scottsdale has been much more animated in this half. Despite the fact that his team is up by 2, he hasn't necessarily liked the defensive formation that his girls have put forth in this half. Scottsdale wins the header in the 50-50 challenge, trying to spring a counterattack, but it's still held in. Slammers doing a good job of building some pressure here. Now they just need that final touch. Schau shrugs off the push from behind. Wade. Schau for Scottsdale. Dancing along the end line. Kept alive by Wade again. Too tall for Slater. Wade sticks her body in. Willoughby got it off. Space in front now for Hale. Charging at her is Sanchez. Wheaton switching the point of attack. Space now for Schau, calling for it in the corner and sending it there. Getting onto it is Wintergalen. She'll just take it to the corner flag. It goes into touch. No foul, despite the contact. '70th minute of play here. So a little over 20 minutes left to go. High up into the air, bounces high again, brought down instead by Willoughby. Slater with the pressure from behind, into touch. Water break forthcoming. As I mentioned, we've got about 20 minutes or so left in this one, so still time for Slammers to crawl their way back into this one, but they have to start chipping away at it. They've done a good job here in the last 5 minutes or so to actually put on some pressure and get some charges forward. But they just haven't been able to find that final strike. The most that Jasmine Brass has really been tested was on that crossing ball that she ended up getting in front of. But hope not completely drained away for the Slammers yet. Scottsdale starting to put the clamps down on it merely because of the time left. But as I pointed out, Coach Taylor hasn't necessarily been all that pleased with the defensive structure of his team here in the middle stages of the second half. The heat of the day really starting to set in, and you can see it taking some of the effects, and not so much with the Blackhawks of Scottsdale, but the Slammers wearing the darker jerseys, a lot of midriffs exposed during that water break, just trying to cool off the skin as best they can. That is drawback of wearing those dark jerseys is you're going to draw in a little more heat. Back underway off the throw. They look for Winter Galen, and she's going to chase it down. Gets it into the box, looking for Hubbard. Touches around the defender, wraps the left foot around it, and there's another goal. Lindsay Hubbard with her third of the game. And that will just about seal this one off for 3 points in Scottsdale. So the effort just got a lot harder now for the Slammers. They seem to be building something positive prior to that water break, but almost immediately afterward, a goal comes in the favor of Scottsdale, as they were able to get it in off the throw-in and then build something off of that. Again, Slammers still trying to put on some pressure here. At this point, you have to worry about goal differential. They only lost 1-0 in their first game. So if you can sneak one, maybe even two back, then despite the fact that you've lost 2 games, you still give yourself at least a mathematical opportunity to be alive on the second day. Whether that's realistic or not, that has to be the game plan right now. The Slammers in some defensive formation, able to take that one off. Pushing it over towards the right-hand side. Taking a bump there with Sanchez, and now the Blackhawks will take control. Up to the forward. At the striker position now, it's Winter Galen giving it back to Hubbard. Looking for a hat trick. Instead gives it back to Winter Galen. The defensive shell falling apart. They score! 4-0. The goals coming in waves now. So Hubbard made it 3-0 in the 73rd minute. Just about 2 minutes later, she just rifles that one right over the goalkeeper. No chance there for Macy Boyle to get her hands up in time, as she was just in desperation mode. The defenders scrambling in front of her, and everything kind of fell apart right on that play for the Slammers. Not even just in terms of the scoreline, but just the defense was scrambling. They were trying to get back. Scottsdale doing a good job on the counter, and Winter Galen able to blast one home. Moore gets too far underneath that one as she tried to steer it towards goal. Second opportunity. Better chance this time, but the weaker shot came off the left foot. Tripped up was Wade. That'll put the free kick right around the half line. Substitute coming in now for Scottsdale. Returning to the game is Tate Zoll. She's going to replace Madison Nash. So Zoll bringing even more of a change of pace here. She'll go back and help out defensively, but she has the energy to make those long runs. Here comes McCullum. Puts that one towards the edge of the area. Zoll with her first touch here in the second half. Ladle on the right-hand side. Sanchez with the shot. Not too far wide. Just out of the reach of brass. Substitute forthcoming now for Scottsdale. Out of the game is Willoughby. Back in is Furtman. A tussle along the ground. Free kick goes to the Slammers. Moore puts it up towards Sanchez, ends up flicked on, but once again, Brass saw it all the way. And the other attacker kind of got turned around on that second flick. Step over move by Slater. McCullum up to Wade. Brought down a little bit awkwardly by Wintergalen. She was taken out. Foul given. Sub coming again for Scottsdale as Keely Bond returns to the game. She replaces Valentina Bernal. Throw in back for Scottsdale after it went awkwardly off the face of Alicorn. She seems to be a little bit shaken up, but not needing to be seen to. Popped back the other direction. Slammers have it defensively, taken down by Hubbard. She looks for help. Run being made by Wintergalen, but the passing lane was not there. Furtman tries it over for Hale. Into the box. That one squirts loose, and there's a fifth one. The mistake capitalized on, and the goal scored in the 80th minute. So 5-0 now. Not necessarily how you draw it up, but Scottsdale will definitely take it. As Hubbard lunges in on that one, and that is her third goal. Hat trick for her. You see it come across here through the legs of the defender, and I think that Boyle must have thought that her defender was going to get it. Sierra Moore thought that Boyle was going to get it. It ended up going right in between, and Hubbard was there to make them pay. Foul given away in the midfield. Slammers with the free kick. Coming back into the game now is Tavernetti Carroll. Looks like she'll come in for Sanchez. Tavernetti Carroll takes a chance towards goal. Ends up going reasonably wide. But those shots have been few and far between here today for the Slammers. And that has kind of been their downfall, is they've done a good job of stringing some passes together here and there. It's just been the sustained pressure and then the final execution that hasn't quite been there today for them. For Scottsdale, they by no means have played a perfect game. Their coach will definitely tell you that he hasn't necessarily liked the defensive shape at all times. He's been on his captains to get everybody organized, wanting more from them. But in the end, they've managed to capitalize on almost all of their opportunities. Thus, they have 5 goals in the back of the net. Roughly 7.5 minutes plus any additional time tacked on. Some teams from other games starting to trickle into the complex. Have to figure the teams for our next game will start to come along as well. Everybody wanting to keep out of the heat as much as possible, and now I do see some players warming up over in the north end zone. That one is taken down by Hubbard. She's got 3 goals to her name, 3 of the 5. 7th minute goal by Emily Shaw is standing the test of time. Since then, Lindsay Hubbard scored in the 58th minute and again in the 73rd. Sarah Wintergalen was allowed to score after Hubbard did the dummy run on that chance. And that came in the 75th minute, and then Hubbard with her 3rd, capitalizing on a mistake in the 80th minute. Hale, who's taken up more of a defensive midfield slot, sees that one just out of the reach of Bond. This one flicked on by Slater. Lily Slater getting the last touch on it for the Slammers. Back the other way for Furtman. Trying to slice one through. Defender met it, as that one was brought down by McCullum. Furtman had it stolen. Given right back. Here's Wintergalen. Wintergalen gets around McCullum. Space in front now. She's going to eat it all up. Sends one towards the penalty spot, but it was headed away before it got there. McCullum put it into the middle of the field. Alarcorn. And that one pilfered away as Bond stepped in front. Alarcorn visibly frustrated. Bond tried to get a little cheeky there with the pass towards Wintergalen. makes up for it with a physical challenge. Alarcon looking towards the official, no call forthcoming. 4 minutes left in regulation. This game was long decided. Somewhat of a late whistle, but the foul goes the way of Hannah Hale. She was taken down and a yellow card given out. So Kelly Hallworth will get her name on the score sheet in a rather dubious fashion. Up the near hand side. Shao just looking to carry in towards the corner, kill some more time off this clock. Two defenders converge on her, and she wins herself a throw. Boyle out to claim it. Sends it over to the right. Looking for space, but again, Scottsdale able to close down rather quickly. Into touch, back to Scottsdale. This one just avoiding the grasp of Winter Galen. Hallworth. Bond able to head it back the other way. Here's Shao. Winter Galen on the right. Moore puts on the pressure. Winter Galen pulls it away. Scottsdale content to just knock it around right now. They're in no great hurry to put this one out of their possession. Successfully tied up there along the end line, and then it just snuck away from McCullum as she was down on the ground. And that ends up going out for a corner. Final minute of regulation. It'll be interesting to see how much extra time they put on to the end of this one. Haven't really had any injuries. Plenty of goals in this half to tack on any time if needs be. But as an official, these are always the situations where you have to let judgment get the better of you. Because with the score line as it is, if you add on 30 seconds to a minute for each goal, how much is that really going to add to the end of this game? Both these teams seem to be content to see this one out with the score line as it is. Still a few words of encouragement, though, from the Slammers, and that's always good to see. You'd like to see that. You don't want to see the body language get too much on the negative side, especially with another game still to be played. When you're unaware of what's going on the other fields, despite the fact that you can be disappointed that you're down by such a score, results could fall the other way to where you could still have something to play for besides pride tomorrow. You have to keep that positivity among you. Got a player down over on the far sideline. or at least in some distress. 4 minutes of additional time will be added onto this one. We're already a minute into that. So apparently there was a question of whether the ball made contact with the player's head. So that was what brought Tate Zoll over to the sideline. She's waiting to come back in. Hasn't been seen by the trainer. Zoll still waiting to come back onto this one. Finally allowed back on. 2.5 minutes of the extra 4 that are scheduled to be put onto this one. Hallworth has a player making the run over on the far sideline. Hornback couldn't quite catch up to it, but it goes out for the corner. Corner kick put back into play, into the mixer. Defender got a head to it. Final minute of play here in stoppage time, at least theoretically. The whistle could go at any moment, or they could have added on more time for that injury check on Tate. Too tall there for McCullough, but that will be the last kick of the game. 5-0 is your final. It was all Scottsdale from start to finish. The Slammers had a few brief moments where they thought they might be able to climb themselves back into the game. But once Scottsdale started scoring in the second half, that was really all she wrote. The only goal that really mattered was Emily Shaw's in the 7th minute, but they added 4 in the second half with Lindsay Hubbard tacking on a hat trick and Sarah Wintergalen sandwiched in between. That'll do it for our coverage of this girls 18 and under group action for Group B. Scottsdale picks up their first win of the tournament. The Slammers still seeking their first goal and first victory as well. They will try to do so tomorrow. Until then, I'm Todd Panula for everybody here at Turbo Sports. We thank you for watching and have a good one.